Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pearls of Wisdom. So as promised, we have another video on illness, and I cannot cram the whole thing in one, so we will have afterwards one more. And in this video, we will more talk about inquiry and how you can find out what is going on. And then in the next video, we look at the symptoms directly. Okay,
I'm going to start with how can we inquire in depth to find out what is happening?
This is one of the most important things, and we have to see that we completely go away from allopathic medicine yet. Because again, illness has nothing to do with allopathic medicine. All the chemical reactions and everything in the body is just showing something within us, and it cannot be healed with any chemical interaction. That does not mean that you cannot take it, but it won't bring you towards healing if you also don't understand what is going on. It will come again and again and again. We'll talk about that later, especially certain symptoms. I don't know if I mentioned that already. Probably not. So, okay. One is very important. The first step is to move away from allopathic modern academic medicine, because we won't find a cure. And we just push symptoms around. So if we have one symptom, then another symptom comes when we take some remedies and something else comes, because the topic of the illness is not resolved. So science is not balanced with spirituality, and religion also is actually not balanced with spirituality. And general life habits that we have are also not balanced with spirituality. If we are balanced, and if we move towards balance, we mean with yin and yang, positive, negative, day, night, then it's something within us can shift, and we harmonize again with the life purpose. So, like, for example, if you don't sleep enough and you're sleep deprived, you get sick. So I just want to talk about balance. So if you don't have enough balance between sleep and being awake, that is also one thing you get sick. And the reason why is because when you force on a lifestyle that is not natural for you, and most people have that, this is a natural thing, a consequence that we get sick. So we are moving forward if we have more and more imbalance, more and more, and from it begins with a little bit, maybe with headache or being tired, until it manifests in the body much stronger, and we have a much more severe, what we call illness. And again here, the word illness, there is no plural. There is illness, there are no illnesses. There are symptoms, there are different symptoms, but you're either healthy or you're ill. And I would say that most humanity, everybody's ill. Everybody has some kind of symptoms. I don't know anybody, including me, who does not have any symptoms at all.
So are there rules we can follow to find out what's not in harmony?
One simple, let's put it that way. Let's go for rule one. When we are interpreting a symptoms, we have to ignore first all apparent casual relationships at the functional level. That means such a thing, we always find things like that. And nobody denies that there are virus and bacteria and whatever in existence, but they are not the reason for the illness. They might be the cause of a symptom, but not the reason for the illness. And this is important that we understand that. So it is not so important to see what is happening, but how we get there, and the timing we'll see is very, very important. So we need to figure out when a symptom flares up, what acute symptoms are coming up, such as cold or nausea or diarrhea or heartburn, headaches, anything like that. Look at the very precise timing. If you're very honest with yourself, you will find the answers relatively fast. Let me give you a sample. Like, for example, very often, like, you know, in older times, when we had all this family Sunday things going on, you can fake a headache that you don't have to go along with it. You know, kind of all that kind of stuff. This is very simple. That's one of the very obvious things. So when you are, say, you're supposed to go somewhere to visit somebody with the family, and you really don't want to go there. You would like to have your Sunday for yourself and just chill out and have some quiet time. And then you just have to come in with the headache. And, you know, it's not just that you have to fake it. The headache is coming. You got to make the headache. This is the unconscious reaction. Or like, so for example, I think I mentioned that before about barking at somebody, if somebody's coughing at somebody all the time. When you are not having a cold, but look at the situation when you suddenly have this kind of dry cough and cough at somebody. So that means also there is a person or a situation that you're really not allowed to say what you actually think, so you cough. And it's actually very funny when you start to see the symptoms. And again, please don't judge. We all learn through illness. Everybody does. And often also we choose to die from a certain illness as an experience, to go through certain pain, to wake up. Because again, illness is teaching us something. And it is very, very important. I remember when I very first was with that topic and I said, oh, this person has this and this is a greedy person, or this is whatever. I was still arrogant at that time. So I still had to pay my bill. That was about 40 years ago when I learned about that first time. And now I understand much better and much deeper that this is what we choose, to have a fast lesson, because you cannot escape. When something hurts, of course you can take painkiller, but you cannot escape really. It's coming back. So this is very important. So look at the exact time when something come up that might give you a very clear answer about what it is all about. And then the third rule would be, what does a symptom force you to do? And exactly at the same time, what can you not do anymore because of this symptom? So for example, if there's a person like you're very fast and going fast all the time, and you suddenly get sick, usually it wants to slow you down. So this is also quite easy to understand. You go too fast, you have to slow down. So let me give you a sample here. You cannot go to your boss and say, like when you're not happy at your job anymore, when you want to do something different, but you're needing the paycheck, and you just still go for a paycheck, go to work, and then you cannot say, I don't want to hear you anymore, I don't want to see you anymore, I don't want to smell you anymore, I want to shout at you. I'm sick and tired working with you every day. But that's exactly what the body does. So the barking at you is the coughing. I don't want to see you anymore when you get the flu, the real flu, you know. Very often the eyes are also infected. And the ear you have a problem, maybe earache, and you don't hear well anymore. So these are all very primary symptoms that show very clearly where I'm at. So, okay, I need a break, very simple. And the boss says, oh yeah, please go home, don't come for a few days, don't get everybody sick in the business. and you're legally off the And so this is very important to understand. Okay, you know, you need a break. And this time can give you really this time to contemplate, what do I really want? Maybe this will be the time that you start to look around for another job. Or that you consult really somebody to help you to find out what is really my talent, what really can I do, what opportunities do I have, and then start looking for a job. And I know that you won't have a job within next week, but once your psyche is switched into the hope to move forward somewhere else, you will be healthy again. Because you have something to look forward. You're more satisfied again. So it's always the twin questions are, what is the symptom forcing me to do, and what is it taking away from me? That is the first inquiry we have to look at.
Okay, so three rules.
Okay, so again, I have a little fly that is flying around here, so I try to catch it.
There are 3 rules to follow.
This is actually, well, that's also, I said 4 rules, there are 3 actually. So let's go to the next question. So,
So are there several stages or categories that we have to differentiate?
The categories, yes, also the stages. So first, like when we start to become sick, that means when we start to move away from our true life path, or we are stuck in somewhere like a one-way road where we cannot go further. Usually the psychological symptoms are coming first, that you feel not happy anymore, that you're not content anymore with your work, that it starts to bore you, that wishes come up. Oh, I wish I could have this, or I wish I could have that, or I wish I wouldn't be here. Wishes and fantasies about what you would like to do. But again, it's very often, see, that's the programming of us. We are programmed to function in a certain frame. And we are programmed not to think for ourselves, but just to go along with what is required from us. Look at our education, no? The whole education is laid out that you become an adult, that you work, that you bring home money, that you pay taxes. And in this cycle, it's like a mouse in a, you know, in this trap mill thing going round. You're not getting anywhere. And the whole program is against our human nature, which is creative. So we will find first all kind of different symptoms that are psychological, mental. Or even anger, you know, to be angry and suddenly I hate that boss, or I hate that person I work with, but you have no reason to hate that person. It's just because this person might represent something in your life that you don't want. And so these emotional symptoms are getting worse and worse and worse, till the next step would be then a functional disturbance. And the first one we talked about is, but the very symptoms we talked about, having a cold. And these are very often first symptoms. And another thing is also very much connected with first symptom is digestive system. That means you cannot digest life anymore. And that can involve the throat, the stomach, the colon, you know. If you're afraid more, it goes more in the direction diarrhea. If you are, it's always 2 things. It can be that, it can also be constipation, but constipation is more like I want to hold on, I cannot let go, and diarrhea is just like you let yourself go and you surrender to whatever is. That is also part of go with the flow, This is also a very difficult topic. It depends what kind of flow you go with, So next, then we start at the acute physical disturbance, then like the really inflammation, wounds, and minor accidents. It happened very often when this comes out of the situation of anger. You become stressed. You do things rashy, and maybe you cut your fingers, or it might be little things, like in the parking lot, you back up too fast and you get into a pole you didn't see and stuff like that. It is like you're not patient anymore for what is happening in your life. You're not fully present anymore in the here and now. So inflammations also, like, for example, if you cut your finger like this or something like that, and you have an inflammation afterwards, it's very painful. And it's also wounds, like, when you run down or up the stairs and you crack your foot, you have a what do you call that, the ankle, and they get a swollen ankle, and minor things like that. This is always when things like that start to happen, this is a warning. Pay attention. It is always, it's a path. It starts with one little thing, and then a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Nobody has a lethal illness bang like this. There are many, 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 many little signs that are coming first. And so when we have the acute disturbances, then it moves into a more severe illness, that like an illness that really forces you to change things, or accidents that are more heavy, like really you end up in the hospital, and then you really have to think about it. This is the stage that it's still kind of acute, and then from there it goes into chronic disease. And the chronic disease, like, for example, you give up, you just go on with what you have to do, but you have absolutely no motivation, nothing anymore. And it becomes more and more chronic, like your headache. Like, for example, every morning you get up first with a headache, or with a stiff neck, like the neck and the shoulder, the heavy burden, I cannot carry that anymore. And then it goes further and further until we have then this disease, like really lethal disease, like cancer, and other things, And then, of course, the end would be death. And we have another point that we have deformative, like when somebody becomes disabled and ends up in a wheelchair, for example. That is also, but the last step then would be death, and that would be then through illness or through accident. Like, in ancient times when people still were aligned to their life, they just die of old age. I had like when you read stories of native people in the past, but there's still some today. They knew exactly when the time comes when they are leaving the planet. They know exactly it's time for me to go. And then very often they call on the family and the tribe or whatever they are involved in, and they say goodbye. And then in some traditions, they go up in a cave where they kind of go into a meditation, and they transit in the meditation, not because they're sick, because their time is off and they know that it's time to go. But for us, even a thought like that is already kind of weird, because we cannot even imagine that anymore, because everybody dies somehow from illness, most people in a hospital. You're not supposed to die in a hospital. You're supposed to die at home, or wherever you choose to die. Because you know your time's done. Very often the moment when you know that it's time to go, you still have time to arrange everything. But like if you don't pay attention and you have an accident and you die in an accident, you have no time anymore to arrange things. It's just gone. But on the higher level, we have to see that you're always in communication with the soul, even if your ego personality is completely disconnected from your higher self. The higher self still has the reign of your life in their hands. It's not you. You cannot force things in your life to happen. If you are far away from your soul path, it will not function. So the only thing that really functions when you look at your life journey, what you're here for, is when you're aligned with your soul purpose. And that is something we can observe on the planet now, that a lot more people start to reconnect with the divine, with the soul, with the divine within. And once you're more connected with your soul again, that means that you can that you know that you receive the information from your soul, what you're supposed to do. And the coincidences, so-called, happen that you meet the right people at the right time who can give you the information that you need for that moment to move forward, to move on.
Oh. Wow. And as for the next question, why do most people ignore their inner knowledge and forgot all about what illness really is?
Yeah, that's the most difficult thing, and that's the education. This is roughly when the Rothschilds, took over and started the educational program. As I mentioned before, education is a program, very simple. You go to, now that's why they want already your babies, your 2-year-olds, because as you know, the first 7 years, we need to develop the personality in a new life. So they come in as early as possible, and then they start to brainwash. I mean, why should a 2-year or a 4-year or even a 7-year-old already know what you want to do when you're grown up? And then they have, and then the whole gender thing. I mean, this is absolutely there's no discussion about that. Because a child, as a child, you want to please the adults. And when an adult tells you something, then you usually say yes, or you do it because you might get rewards, you're loved, whatever is behind, right? And the education that we have is even more like that. Is if you do, you get reward. If you don't, you get punished. So everything is about this kind of good and bad. You're a good girl, you're a bad girl, good boy, bad boy. If you do this, and then there's also when these little kids are already in classes, and most likely also with school uniform, put in that form, even there is no more creativity. So this is, you all stand in line, you do all the same, you say all the same, the teachers say blah blah blah, the children say blah blah blah, and then it goes into the subconscious. And when you repeat, when you repeat things again and again and again, then it sticks, and it's very difficult to get rid of it. So most especially now, school systems are based on repetition of what you are supposed to do. When I was a child, when I went to school, we were still told to be creative. We still had creative work, creative lessons that we are tested in our creativity, and it was encouraged. Today it's not. Today you just memorize. They tell you what to do. They give you all the picture of the world, how it is, how it's supposed to be, from their opinion. And from very, very, from the beginning, you're trained to be a slave. And do you remember the slave story that we talked about that people just have the illusion to be free, but in fact they're really slaves.
Mm.
Slaves of money. Our God, the God here really, that people work for every day is money. Power, money, and maybe fame, but fame is also again about money. And I don't know if I told you that little story about the angel who somebody wanted to incarnate, and then they go, they stay in line for certain places, and then that guy who observes said, you know, there is the counter for famous people. This practically empty. Why don't you be a star or whatever? And when I look around, there is the counter for just a normal person, or a blacksmith, or whatever, you know. There is a lot of people there staying in line. Why? I don't understand that. And he said, well, you know what? Most people who are famous don't make it. And that's the point, you know. That's a temptation. You're famous, you're not going to make it to evolve into a higher consciousness. You're stuck. So this is the story. So this is why we don't have that inner knowledge, because from very early on childhood, most people are disconnected from it, and everything what is done in our education is taking it further and further and further away, till you know, till you come to the point where you really worship money, worship Satan in a way, with all the consequences. Because, you know, the higher up in the hierarchy people go, the more they are forced to do certain things. So the people are able to blackmail them so they cannot go away anymore. And then this is exactly the point. And if you want to resist that, and if you are going in contact with your higher self, if you are, like, for example, I use my homeopathic radionic machine since 30 years now, and I have not taken allopathic medicine since, then you are just absolutely crazy. And it was very difficult always to be against the stream. But in the future, this will be coming again when people understand, and there are lots of videos out there already, that we are in fact energy. So if we are in fact energy, why do you believe that chemical substances can heal us? This is already completely wrong. Already when you think about it. So we have to do something on the energetic level. And so this is what, once we reconnect with that knowledge, that in fact we are energy. And then the next step, in fact, we are divine being having a human experience. And then the whole topic of illness makes a complete different sense. So we can say turning a blind eye to ourselves and give the power to the medical lobby, to other people around us, is quite common, and we blame always outer circumstances like bacteria, etc., to be the cause of the illness or the disease, because that's what we are taught, that's what we are trained of. But we attract these to make it happen that we get sick. If you are not in harmony, your energy frequency becomes low. And the energy frequency of a bacteria, whatever, all these toxins is low too. So the high vibration that would keep you healthy is not compact. It maybe has holes, you know, we talk about holes in the aura. That is a lower frequency. And then lower frequency beings, life forms, can enter your system. And this is also why what is happening on the planet now, we have to get rid of all these low form entities. You cannot be healthy as long as you have these toxins within your body. You need to get rid of them. Remember, the earth is a body too. And there is a spirit connected with it. We call her Mother Gaia or Pachamama. And again, all these beings, the negative beings, are toxins. So macrocosmos and microcosmos is always the same. So we can observe it ourselves. And the more we create health within ourselves, the more we create health on the planet.
Wow.
Those bacteria and virus are energy form as well.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
You know, actually virus is not. But virus is a dead cell debris. Actually, see the whole virus stuff, I talked about that several times already. Maybe I can put out the link down below about the video that I saw about the germ, or the theory that there is no virus in fact. But all the others, like this is a dying thing. We are not supposed to leave things in our body that are dying. They have to go out, right? Because otherwise they cause inflammation, and then from inflammation can be infection. And the only one who is allowed to let that material in your body is the dentist after root canal. And also, like, just to give you each teeth we have is connected to an organ and to a circuit of an organ. This is why it's kind of difficult if we have tooth problem. Very often it is connected and we don't realize that. We just go to the dentist, fix it, and then suddenly something flares up in the body. It's actually connected with our teeth. And what are our teeth? Think about it. It's about aggression, about chewing things that we can afterwards digest it within it, break it down. And this is exactly the system. If you're programmed in school already to just believe what they tell you, you don't chew life anymore. You don't break it down anymore. That's why most people have problems with teeth. I do too. We have been fed with chocolate when we were children for the sweetness of life, you know. So you pay bills for that. It's nothing is just happening with no consequences.
So for the last question, what are the first symptoms that we can feel?
Well, generally, as we said, let's recap that. The first symptoms we feel are usually mental, emotional symptoms. If we feel that something is not good in our life, the first symptom so we feel is an emotional unwell being. It's kind of, you know, that nagging that something's wrong. You don't know really what yet, but with something you're not satisfied. You feel unhappy, not appreciated, not loved. And this will give us some symptoms that have maybe not even, you don't need to see a doctor for that. It doesn't need to take much attention. Very often you can overcome that if you go out and have a nice meal or watch a good movie or whatever, it will be gone. But it's underlying, it's still there. It's still kind of nagging you. And those people who go like, you know, the slight headache, a little bit irritation in the stomach with digestion and stuff like that. People who go to the doctor with symptoms like that, the doctor can usually not find anything because it's not manifested yet. It has not fallen into the body yet. Again, you know, when something comes into your life, what you can see also in your horoscope, when you look at the journey, the curriculum of your life, you see what is coming up. So something is coming into your life and you can look at it or you can turn around. And if you turn around, it pushes you from the back. If you look at it, you can solve whatever it is. You can take on the challenge and solve the problem or learn something and learn something. So this can be a short-term thing because something might change in your life that you automatically attract something else. And these are little things. But then when symptoms get more intense, like you have your headache more often, or you have acid reflux or whatever, this is sour coming up, acid coming up, then what am I sour about? And you can look at the symptoms. This is actually when you start to pay attention, is relatively easy, that you can see things, what is happening in the body. So the digestion is a symptom. We can digest life anymore. So something is outside of us that is bugging us, having a bug, It's very interesting to look in the language also, inflammation, flame, and all this very aggressive terminology in medicine, actually. So why do we eat too much sometimes? Why do I overeat? Why do I eat too much sweets? Because I need to replace the sweetness, the tenderness. Like, for example, my parents are very busy. They both work because they need to make more money in this time. Because when I was a child, it was generally still okay that a mother was at home and doing household. But if not, then you feed the child chocolate. And if you go in a supermarket and you look at all these packages that are there, this is killing children. First of all, it's full of sugar, it's full of MSG, the salty snacks, whatever. And I recently also posted information what MSG really is. That's absolutely poison. And did you know that they use MSG to grow the lab rats faster to make them fat? So, okay, yes. Oh, yeah. So anyway, so we eat too much because we compensate with something. So we compensate usually with food. That's a very common thing. And then you see people are overweight and all that. And then we have the topic of when fear manifests as diarrhea very often. I'm afraid of everything. I'm afraid of this. And then constipation is the opposite, when you cannot let go, when you hold on to things. Also constipation, when you look at it, like here now the climate is hot, so you need to drink more water. Water, it's hot, so we have a male energy, we have a Mars energy, especially now with Mars, with Sun and retrograde Mercury in Aries. There is a lot of aggression, a lot of fire. So once you know that, when you have to, very simple, logically drink more water. And if you don't drink more water, you constipate it because it's not enough liquid in your digestion. I mean, very simple. So what is liquid? What is water? Water is emotion. So you have to also let your feelings, look at your feelings and not just push them away. Because whatever it is also a reflection for us that we go through in life, that we have to face. So I remember Italy when I was a child. The people go work in the morning, or also in southern of France, because in Switzerland we often went in summer for holiday to France, to Italy, so on. And I learned there that people usually get up early. They do a lot of work till about 11, maximum 12. And then they have what they call siesta. Siesta. Time to relax.
Wow.
And then usually they work again around 5 o'clock. So in the afternoon, the village and the city where I was dead. Nobody was there. Everybody was resting, or we had a little swimming pool there where we were in our holiday. So we were resting. We had fun in the swimming pool, and then in the evening people go out, and then they live again till 10, 11 o'clock at night. So they have also, after the siesta, they have dinner late. So this is adjusting. Our body live in a certain climate, in a certain place, so we are adjusting to life as it is. And most people don't do that anymore, because you have a job, you have to be there at 8 o'clock and you have to finish at 5 o'clock. Then of course you need aircon and whatever. to be able to do your work, which is all against our nature. And I'm not against modern technology, not at all. But I also use it, but as sparsely as I can. Like, for example, last night I went to bed, it was 32 degrees in my bedroom. So I had the aircon of 1 hour and the fan. And the aircon after 1 hour close, and then I can sleep. But with 30, 31, 32 degrees, you cannot sleep. You cannot fall asleep. It's just too hot. So we have to find ways to do things as good as we can. So this is very important to see when we have those first symptoms, that when we start to act immediately on them and start to search what is there, they don't have to go further into the more severe, more lethal disease. Also, like, for example, it happened, for example, a few days ago, I was very irritated and I had to go somewhere and I had a call, and then a person dropped by and I go a little bit like that and the glass fall and phew. So the glass helped me actually to release tension. So when things like when you break something, then it is, we say when you break a glass, when it falls down, shards bring luck. No, don't crash a mirror. Even they say you're unlucky for 7 years. But a glass, they say, bring luck. And this is because if something like that happen, it gives a moment of a release, you know. But this is an indication that you have to look at what is happening. Okay, I'm under too much tension in the moment, slow down. Those things in the outside always give you a sign what happened. Okay, so from here, do you have any questions more? What is coming here? So now, one more thing I just say here. Okay, from this stage of a manifestation, when we are in an emotional state, it goes to the next step, and then it has a physical cause. But we don't have to be fooled, because we attract the physical cause. Again, as I said before, we are attracting this bacteria or this accident or whatever that happened to us because of our energy. And we have to think back always. We are energy. We are a battery. I don't remember how many thousand volts is our body. Each cell has a little bit of electricity. And this is why, yeah, those who know me, I'm starting with this electroculture, and it is absolutely awesome what's happening. So we had discussions about we should make some like copper hats or something like that to balance our energy, like sit like that every day, an hour or something like that. So we'll see what we're gonna do here. Okay, so anything is question come up from here for you again? Okay. Okay, so next time we could really go into the illness. We talk about more like also liver, kidney, and so on, what it means exactly, and then we can conclude this topic. Okay, thank you very much for helping me here with the video. It's always more nice to have you two than to do it all alone.
Thank you for your answer.
And so next Saturday, we're gonna do our next video. And for our viewers, thank you very much. I got some very nice comments on last videos. I'm really happy about that. Please share, because once we understand what illness is, we can do something about it and not just juggle symptoms around and get worse and worse and worse. Please give us a thumbs up and look forward to see you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.